And in London, Yundi, an accomplished young pianist from China, is releasing the complete nocturnes of Chopin to mark the 200th anniversary of the Polish composer's birth. The series is Li's first collaboration with music company EMI.
Recording work on the complete nocturnes wrapped up at the end of last year. Yundi says the style might not be as diverse as that of a live concert, but concentrating on Chopin's famed pieces has given him a deeper understanding of the romantic musician. Li feels he now has much greater confidence when it comes to balancing the technical virtuosity and poetic passion in the legendary composer's music.
The music in the collection was written by Chopin throughout his lifetime. They are representative of the composer's style. The music is lyrical and full of beauty. It's also quite easy to understand. They are very accessible to listeners.
Yundi began learning the piano at the age of 7. It didn't take long for him to impress observers with his talent. In 2000, he debuted on the world stage at the International Chopin Piano Competition in Warsaw. Just 18 years old at the time, he was the event's youngest winner ever. Thanks to his strong combination of skill and dedication, many critics say it will be impossible for Li to hide his shining light under a bushel of anonymity. Considered one of the next great maestros, he is anticipating a very enduring and prominent career. Keith Crane, CCTV.
To classical music now, and China is certainly not short of superstars. Yundi is definitely one of them. Back in 2000, 18-year-old Li won the gold medal at the International Chopin Piano Competition. He was the youngest winner in the event's history and the first Chinese to take out the honors. Now, 10 years later, Li treated his Beijing fans to a concert to pay tribute to Chopin at the National Center for the Performing Arts on Saturday night.
Yundi mesmerized a full house at NCPA on Saturday night. He played a suite totally Chopin, from 5 of his nocturnes to the most technically demanding Sonata No. 2 to the furious heroic Polonaise in flat A major. To many classic music lovers in China, Yundi is the best to interpret Chopin. He is claimed to have the rare combination of virtuoso skill and poetic passion in delivering the master's scores. Over the past 10 years since he won the Chopin piano competition, Li studied in Germany, was based in Hong Kong, and toured the world. This Chopin concert is part of a series. He's already performed in Warsaw, Poland. He was invited as a special performer at the 200th birthday concert of Chopin in the musician's hometown. With Beijing being the first stop, Li will hold a national tour across China to celebrate the piano poet. CCTV.
Before Yundi's Beijing concert, I caught up with Li at an album signing and fan meet and greet at the NCPA. I spoke to the musical prodigy about his passion for Chopin's music and where it all began. Can you tell us how Chopin has influenced you as an artist?
I think Chopin is one of my most favorite composer, and his whole life focus for the piano composing. And for me, I think he's the best piano composer, and both music and technique, and I think especially he's also the most important romantic area composer.
At what age did you start playing the piano, and at what age did you start playing Chopin's music?
I think I started piano I was 7 years old, and first time I listened Chopin's music, I think when I was 9 years old, and I started every night before sleep I was listening to Chopin's music.
And what was different for you about his music compared to all the other famous composers
Okay, yeah, I think it sounds like I think in the music world, Beethoven is kind of the most important for the orchestra and for the conductor, and Chopin is one of the most important for the pianist as a pianist because, as I said, and so many, he composed so many music just for piano, and that is so amazing. And he's, I think, it's no question, and almost all the great pianists have been played Chopin.
We know that this year is the 200th anniversary of Chopin's birth. Do you have any events in particular that you will attend or you have attended?
Yes, the March 1st, I think that before I just participated the Chopin's 200th anniversary gala concert in Warsaw, and that was a memorable event, and also has been, is so special, and from all over the world, everybody was celebrate for this the genius musician, composer Chopin birth, and also I was planning to performing in the world big tour, Chopin's concert, and upcoming after the NCPA concert in Beijing, and I will play in Carnegie Hall, New York, and also from June I will start also from a lot of cities in China to performing the Chopin's music. Just the last month, I've been finished a huge tour in Japan, 14 concerts and 2 concerts twice at Century Hall. That's unusual, and yes, and the whole year is Chopin's year, and also for me, it's also my 10th anniversary since I win the Chopin competition from 2000.
With your rendition of Chopin's music, how would you characterize your own style?
Wow, this is the big question, but I think Chopin's music basically very elegant and also very sensitive and also very romantic. And of course, I think the quality, I think, and especially is melody. Chopin's melody is the most, I think, influence and also the important highlights from his character and style, and I just want to try to play in the best way and the best condition, and to communication for the audience.
And about the new album, is there anything special you want to tell us about the pieces or your renditions?
Yes, this new album is also my celebrate for the Chopin's anniversary, and especially it's 21 nocturnes. It's a complete nocturne album, and the nocturne is one of the most important and famous from Chopin's music, and it's the most romantic melody and the most elegant piece, and also cover Chopin's whole life because he started composing the nocturne from when he was very young until he died, before he died. So it's a kind of his whole life kind of picture from his emotion and how he feels and his feeling. So I think will be the wonderful, is a good challenge for the audience to hear Chopin's best melody.
And finally, you achieved fame at a very young age. Now, what do you expect for your future? What do you want to do in your future? Where will you be based? What will you be doing?
At this moment, I'm based in Beijing, and since of course I'm from Chongqing, born in Chongqing until Shenzhen, and after I studied in Germany, and of course, and sometimes I also stay in Hong Kong, and now I a lot of times stay in Beijing. In the future, I think at this moment I was even more enjoy to perform in Chopin, and I want to be perform the new style for the 21st century Chopin style, to make it different, and also to tell the new generation and the new audience, let them to think and feel how Chopin is the greatest.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And as classical music was becoming more popular in China, a certain young man was sitting at his piano practicing and practicing. Now the Polish Honorary Medal of Arts and Culture has been conferred to 28-year-old Chinese pianist Yundi at a ceremony on Tuesday night in Beijing. And this is the first time that a Chinese pianist has been given such a high honor.
At the concert marking the 200th anniversary of Frédéric Chopin's birth, Polish Culture Minister Bogdan Zidorowski handed over the Medal of Merit to Li Yundi in recognition of the artist's achievements in interpreting and spreading the music of Chopin.
I am so honored and excited. This is the highest honor I have received since winning first prize in Warsaw in 2000. I hope my interpretation of Chopin will provide more enjoyment for people of today and tomorrow.
In October 2000, Li Yundi participated in the 14th International Frédéric Chopin Piano Competition. He was the first one to be awarded first prize in 15 years. At the age of 18, Li was the youngest winner and the first Chinese musician in the competition's history. He believed that it's the music of Chopin that inspires his endeavors.
I was famous for playing Chopin before I started my career. I think the pursuit is infinite. I always appreciate Chopin's concentration on music, which is the key to success.
The concert includes a repertoire of Chopin's famous pieces, the Nocturne in B-flat minor, Chopin's Sonata No. 2, and Polish Nocturne. Zhang Yingyi, CCTV.
Pianist Li Yundi's China tour of piano solos came to its Dalian leg on Monday. Li Yundi performed nearly 10 representative works from Polish composer Frédéric Chopin, including Nocturne and Polonaises, as a commemoration of the maestro's 200th birthday. Our friends at Dalian TV provided this report.
The piano concert started with gentle nocturnes. Li Yundi redefined the musical program with romanticism, added into the originally passionate, dramatic, and even tragic melody, and made the opening music quite Li Yundi's style.
Li Yundi's performance refreshes me. His performance portrays the tranquility from the bottom of the heart, as well as the shock like surging waves.
This evening is special for Chopin's program and include Nocturne and the Polonaise and also Sonata and the Mazurka. Nocturne is a very romantic piece, as I said, and very beautiful and very romantic. A lot of hopeless wishes.
Chopin Polonaises is considered as one of the most demanding musical pieces in the world. Polonaises depict a heroic story of a Polish knight, and the musical piece also becomes the highlight of Li's tour show.
Chopin Polonaise is very erotic and very powerful, very exciting, and also he loves his country and he loves Poland very much, as I love China. I like all my country people very much. So those things I think is most passion for me.
The year of 2010 marks the 200th birthday of Frédéric Chopin, famous Polish composer and pianist. To commemorate Chopin, Li Yundi staged his national tour performance, with all the musical programs being piano solos, from this June to October. Dalian was the fourth leg of Li's national tour, followed by Shanghai, Nanjing, Chongqing, and so on. Born in Chongqing, Li Yundi is best known for being the youngest pianist to win the International Frédéric Chopin Piano Competition at the age of 18 in 2000. Liu Hongzhi, Dalian TV for CCTV.
As a tribute to the 200th anniversary of composer Frédéric Chopin's birth, Chinese pianist Li Yundi staged a concert at the Forbidden City Concert Hall in Beijing on Monday night. Hailed as the Prince of Piano and the most apt interpretation of Chopin in China, Li's rendering of the musician is both delicate and full of vigor. Let's have a listen.
Li Yundi mesmerized the full house of Forbidden City Concert Hall with his mastery of the keyboard. From nocturnes that Chopin is most famous for, to the impassioned polonaise, then to the folk flavor-imbued mazurka, Li totally immersed his audiences into the wide-ranging world of Chopin in the 90-minute concert.
Chopin is a mixture of elegance and passion. His music has an aesthetic that Chinese Confucianism believes. That is, it combines toughness and gentleness. I like to bring this kind of aesthetic into my playing of Chopin.
Li Yundi is the youngest first-place winner of the International Chopin Piano Competition at the age of 18 back in 2000. He has held several solo concerts on Chopin to celebrate the musician's 200th birth anniversary. Su Yangtian, CCTV.
Renowned Chinese pianist Li Yundi has given a concert at Tokyo's Century Creole Concert Hall, bringing the delights of Chinese classical music to Japanese audiences. Monday's performance marked the 40th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations between China and Japan. Li Yundi performed traditional Chinese pieces, including Sunflower and Clouds Chasing the Moon, as well as pieces by the composer Chopin. The audience was captivated by Li's interpretation and performance. The piano concert is one of more than 400 programs China and Japan are scheduled to hold this year to commemorate the normalization of ties between the two countries.
Welcome back. Now, China's piano prince Li Yundi played to a full house at the National Center for the Performing Arts on Saturday night. Li, who is famous for rendering Chopin's music, made a foray into playing Beethoven this time. Fans were eager to hear how Li delivered the deeper and more grandiose Beethoven. Let's take a listen.
Li opened the concert with two nocturnes of Chopin. He felt quite at home when rendering Chopin's Nocturne No. 1 in B flat minor and his Nocturne No. 2 in E flat. In 2000, Li Yundi won the first prize at the International Chopin Piano Competition at the age of 18 to become the first Chinese and youngest contestant to win the prestigious competition. His rendering of Chopin is elegant and poetic, and he has been hailed as the most apt modern presenter of the musician. Turning 30 this year, Li has branched out to take on the more profound Beethoven. He has released an album of Beethoven's music. And this concert is the live version of the album's tunes, three of Beethoven's most famous sonatas, Appassionata, Pathétique, and Moonlight. Li's presentation of Appassionata turned out to be so technically impeccable, passionate, and full of vigor, fans were overwhelmed by his performance.
I'm a fan of this. I think this concert is on a top level. It shows his usual high standard. He is worthy of the title musical prodigy.
Musical notes in his hands have a soul, full of variety, full of emotion. I'm very excited.
He's a wonderful pianist, and I saw him 7 or 8 years ago when I was a diplomat in Washington. I saw a concert at the Kennedy Center. He played Liszt, and it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. So when I heard he was giving a concert this evening, I was really keen to come. Fantastic, and his Beethoven is, I think it's the way Beethoven would have played it.
The concert is part of his world tour promoting his Beethoven album. He will soon play in Chinese cities Shanghai, Suzhou, and Guangzhou. Su Yangtian, CCTV.
Well, held for his precision in technique and endless passion, Li Yundi is dubbed China's Chopin or Piano Prince. His concerts are always sold out. And next, we learn more about the piano prodigy and hear about what the pianist has to say about his latest album.
Yundi was born into a non-musical family with his parents both steel workers. When he was 3 years old, his parents bought an accordion after he was so entranced by an accordion player in a shopping mall. He mastered the instrument by the age of 4 and won the top prize at the Chongqing Children's Accordion Competition at age of 5. Li studied piano at age of 7. 2 years later, he began to learn from Dan Zhaoyi, one of China's most renowned piano teachers. After receiving titles in piano competitions from China and other countries, he won the most prestigious World Chopin piano competition at age of 18. Since then, he has garnered a large fan base in China. He has toured the world's most famous music halls to perform. His albums of Chopin music have been extremely popular, and his album of Liszt in 2003 was named Best CD of the Year by the New York Times. In October, Li turned 30, and he wants to deliver something deeper. He has chosen 3 sonatas of Beethoven as the pieces for him to branch out with.
I think this is my favorite sonatas, and those sonata, Pathetic, Moonlight, all my favorites. I hope the audience will enjoy I play Beethoven. This year I have a big tour in the world, around the world, touring Beethoven sonatas, and I hope those music makes everybody happy, and those pieces I think is really romantic music.
Li also talked about how it feels playing Beethoven after so many years focusing on Chopin.
Well, it's different. I feel much more mature, and of course Beethoven's music is more philosophy, and also structure, and more passionate. Those qualities I think is it fits this year I'm 30s.
In an effort to promote Chinese music, Li released an album called Red Piano with 18 tunes of mostly Chinese folk music and symphonic pieces. He aims at making Chinese music a larger part of his repertoire.
Yes, I'm thinking, and also that's a part of my, I think also my life, and introduce Chinese music is also my responsibility. And in the future, I believe, even now, more young musicians, composers, compose piano music for China and Chinese music, and I hope in the future we'll play more often Chinese music.
Insider CCTV headquarters in Beijing, anticipation is mounting as the world's most watched gala is just around the corner. CCTV's Spring Festival Gala just finished its final rehearsal on Thursday evening. A lineup of superstars will perform live on Saturday evening, the Chinese New Year's Eve. CCTV News anchors Ji Xiaojun and Wang Mangmang have respectively interviewed world-renowned Chinese pianists Li Yundi and Lang Lang. Let's have a peek at what surprise they have in store for us at the gala.
Both young and famous, both classical pianists, Li Yundi and Lang Lang are always compared together by Chinese music aficionados. This is not their first time taking part in a Spring Festival Gala, and both have something different in store for audience.
It's actually my second time only. Third, to work with ballet dancer.
Play with magic.
It's a pure art.
Very special, very different.
Joy.
Tired.
It's unbelievable.
This is secret.
Though kept a secret, Li Yundi's performance is said to be an amazing integration of music and magic.
Are you going to be the magician, or are you still going to be playing the piano?
Both.
Come on. Are you a magician?
This is secret, so I cannot say it. I think it's a crossover cooperation. Yeah. We all will play with the finger. I think that is a very...
it's all about the finger techniques, right?
Of course, and the booker, I also need to show, and even every day I need to practice some part.
Magic?
Yeah, yes.
And your partner, does he also need to practice some piano skills maybe?
Yes.
He does?
Yeah, he does. So we both cross over.
Wow, I really look forward to seeing that program.
While Li Yundi's show will be a show of fingertip techniques of a musician and a magician, Lang Lang's show will demonstrate a perfect combination of fingers racing on the keyboards and toes dancing on the floor. But when thinking which repertoire to choose, Lang Lang had a lot of consideration.
I think it's need to have this joy in the repertoire choosing. This piece is very popular to people's ears. The most beautiful light dance music, but in a very classic way. And so I think this type of repertoire works, and also it shows the spring, and the spring gala is the beginning of the springtime.
The stage is indeed a very special stage, because that's a stage lots of artists, both Chinese and foreign, will work all the way to try to get maybe just seconds, not minutes, on that stage, because that means a difference for their career development. How do you feel about that part?
It's unbelievable how many people watching it.
Of course, I think this is a very important challenge for every artist.
Wonderful platform to share.
It's a way to introduce classical music.
The balance will be how to play classical music in the way that connect with our heart, but at the same time approach to millions of people.
Man, I wish I could play the piano. We start the show off with music. Following his triumph at the Spring Festival Gala, pianist Yundi is now preparing for his latest European concert tour. This week, he has been in London, just one of the cities where he will be showcasing his new Beethoven program in April. And our correspondent Natalie Powell finds out what sort of appeal the pianist has in Europe.
Of course, I think European audience is because music from the Western, and it's a tradition, so they know the music since they're very, a little or young. And but nowadays, I think all the young generation is growing, and even from West or from the East. So I feel very confident. So I believe they will enjoy.
The most acclaimed Chinese pianist of his generation is about to embark on a 15-date European tour. But can his popularity in China be replicated in Europe? Gillian Moore, head of classical music at London's South Bank Centre, believes it can.
Yundi's recital in April is one of the highlights of South Bank Centre's International Piano Series, where we get pianists from all around the world to come. Sometimes they're small and intimate recitals, and sometimes, like this one, it's a great big recital in the Royal Festival Hall.
Chinese fans living in London are also looking forward to it.
I'm just so excited because I can see him in person and I can get the first-hand experience in the concert.
To me, it is flawless, precise, and even perfect piano skills.
And it isn't just Chinese fans. His 2010 concert in London was so successful that the Royal Festival Hall are looking forward to welcoming him back, confidently predicting that his April recital will be a sellout.
Yundi shot to fame after winning the 14th Chopin International Piano Competition just aged 18, and his latest concert will showcase some new repertoires.
That's a selection of 3 of Beethoven's most famous sonatas, the Moonlight, the Pathétique and the Appassionata. Yundi chose these pieces, and I think he did so very wisely because they perfectly fit him, his personality and his style. It's a very romantic program for a Beethoven program. It's very emotional, it's just very romantic, and he's just one of the best to play this kind of music these days.
Well, I'm very excited, and I heard a lot of concerts sold out almost, and many young people will join the concerts, and young generation, and that's a very good news.
The pianist's European concert tour begins on March the 18th, and 2013 is already shaping up to be a busy one, with Yundi already planning further recitals in China upon his return, and even tours and masterclasses for universities. Natalie Powell, CCTV, London.
Yundi, good to see you again. You look tired today.
Yeah, a little bit, because the rehearsal is very late, almost until 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning for that performance, because you're going to perform for the Spring Festival Gala of China Central Television. That is the most watched TV program in the world. Is it your first time to be on that stage?
Third.
Third time, already. How do you feel this time then?
It's very special, very different, and it's play with magic.
You're going to play with the magician.
Yeah.
So are you going to be the magician, or are you still going to be playing the piano?
Both.
Come on. Are you a magician?
This is secret, so I cannot say too many. But I think it's the people will see a very, very special and exciting moment happen in that time.
That's what we call magic, right? Yeah. It also means a tremendous amount of attention to be a part of that Spring Festival Gala. Do you like that part? Because being an artist to perform for the Spring Festival Gala, you got the attention of the whole nation, the whole Chinese community of the whole world.
For myself, I just want to focus in the music, because you feel nervous until this finish. So no space to think other things, actually.
You want to concentrate.
Yeah, and even everything is, I think every day needs to change and a little, tuning, neck tuning. So until the last moment. So you have no, space, and also very tired, want to sleep.
Right, I can see that.
Then you not think any attention, so no, I want to sleep in my bed.
I can see that, and hopefully you can get a good rest and for the night's performance. Now let's leave that behind a little bit. Let's move on to some other major events that happened in your life, which is also causing lots of attention to your career. I guess the first major break would be the major prize that you won when you were only like 18 years old?
Well, it's the beginning of my career, I think, international career. So that competition, of course, everybody knows is the most influential and difficult piano competition. So, and after I win the Chopin competition, it's begin my career.
Is it a good thing to be that famous, to gain that fame when you were that young?
So before I went to competition, so I already decided after finish the competition, I will study in Germany. So it's no difference after.
Didn't change your life?
Yes, I still continue study. So because I want to learn, still continue. A lot of music and the knowledge I still needs to know. So in that time also, I'm not immediately start my performance career. So every year I just take 20 or 30 concerts per year. And other times study in Germany, Hanover.
Now somehow I got that impression, and that is also shared by lots of your music fans. It seems you are always calm. You're always fine. Whatever happens around you happens to you. You're just fine. How do you develop? You feel confident?
I think I must say the music and piano makes me very confident. When I start practice, for example, before I practice my practice room, I feel so I don't need to know anything. So I only need to communicate keyboard and notes and God or composer. So those parts makes me, I feel it's enough.
It seems you're crossing over to more areas than just music, because you're also a member of the CPPCC, the People's Political Consultative Conference of Chongqing Municipality. How are you now coping with that new role?
I think it's a responsibility for people. For me, I mean, I think it's very important for young generation to help more good things happen and give a great idea for the government and of course hope our country better and better.
But how do you manage to work as a member of that organization?
I think this takes time, so not months, maybe year by year, and continue. But I think the result will be better.
Okay, thank you very much, Yundi, for your time, and
thank
all
you.
the best wishes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Chinese piano sensation Li Yundi continues his world tour with a show in the Middle East. On Sunday night, his intimate recital at the 10th Abu Dhabi Festival received a standing ovation at the Emirates Palace. We go there now to hear more from this award-winning musician.
Li Yundi opens with Chopin's Nocturne in B-flat minor. As it begins, everyone holds their breath, lost in the melody. His technically precise and passionate performance stuns these Middle Eastern lovers of piano music.
Most enjoyable evening, most enjoyable. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to buy his CDs.
I'm not an expert, I'm an engineer, but I'm quite moved by what he has done.
At the end of the show, there is a standing ovation for this piano prince from China. Li returns their enthusiasm by encoring 2 more pieces, ending the show with the traditional Peking opera song. Following the intimate recital, Li speaks with the members of the audience about the challenges of interpretation, as well as his inspiration and musical journey.
Kind of a connection with your life.
I want to thank everyone present tonight. It's great to be here to share my music in the Abu Dhabi Festival. It's a great event to gather the best artists from around the world.
This performance marks Li's debut at the Abu Dhabi Festival, one of the most important art festivals in the Gulf region. Li first came onto the international music scene at the age of 18 when he won the top prize at the 2000 Chopin International Piano Competition. The award had been vacant for 15 years before Li arrived. He was also the first Chinese ever to win it. All in all, the pianist has released 12 albums, including Beethoven, which came out earlier this month. Mu Fangzhou, CCTV.